We want to welcome you to the very first J&J Burk Home Improvement Show. And, of course, the guest of honor is our very own Jay Burk. Hi, Jay.
Hi, how are you, Eric?
I want to tell you that, since I know you, and I've known, you and I go way back, and so we could talk about all those memories, but I think there is some individuals that may not know who you are. Heaven forbid if I say that.
Oh, my gosh.
No one knows who Jay Burk is. But you've got a long-standing tradition, not only as your family, but you in this community. So give us a little brief rundown of who you are.
Well, basically, I'm a Lawtonian, obviously, and I started in the heating and air business. My father started in the heating and air business back in 1964, and so I worked with him after I had gone to college and started my own business in around 2000. But I actually attended MacArthur High School, Cameron University as well, and so I'm really involved in a lot of community kind of things in our, in Lawton and civic stuff, and also on the Lawton City Council. But I started J&J Burk Heating and Air in 2000, around 2000, and felt like that, I wanted to keep the tradition going that what had been in my family for a long time.
Was it like following in your dad's footsteps? Because he's crossed a lot of he made a lot of friendships and relationships throughout the years. About you picking up that legacy and continuing that?
Well, it was different because obviously my father was from a different generation, and now I'm seeing that as I work with young people that are working for me. It's definitely different, but at the same time, it was nice. It was nice being able to say, I remember how my dad did it. I remember what they said, and I remember how they did it. I used to look on the back of a business card, and they would give you a price to put a new system in your home, and that's just not the way it's done today. But things have changed. The other day, I told someone, I said, I can't imagine my dad saying I need to log onto the computer to be able to figure out the price for this new system. He would have died, because I don't think maybe solitaire was the only thing he ever played on the computer. So
that or a text. Ask him,
right.
What's a text?
That's right.
Yeah, it's a different way to operate, but I guess you learn from the best, and you want to definitely pass that along. And I think you've done a good job with that. Let's talk a little bit about why this show exists, because I think it's going to be I'm excited because there's a lot of aspects of the show that I know about that I want those who are listening. It's going to be a weekly show that you can call in, ask some questions. We're going to talk. We're going to kind of rake you over the coals. We're going to give you some of the business about some legit questions about home improvement, how we want to be informative to those individuals, and then what you have to offer, and then give away an opportunity at a prize. You got a great prize package that each week we're going to give away something as this continues, and then it's a way that you can call in, and we've got a designated line at 581-3605. It's going to be a recorded message that you're going to come on and says, what is your question? Just state your question, and then if we use your question on the air, even if we don't, your name will go in for a drawing for that special prize, but we may use your call, and then the rest of us can join in on that. So a great opportunity. So write that down. 581-3605. We'll use that here in a minute. You can call in, and we'll be taking those calls. And unfortunately, we can't use them all. In a 30-minute time frame, because we got a 30-minute show that people can actually ask Jay a question. Now it's Ask Jay.
Ask Jay. That's
Ask
right.
Jay. Put that a little shirt there. Ask me. Ask Jay. Okay, so now that I've kind of described what that show is, why did you kind of want to come across doing this?
Well, I felt like there wasn't anything in our market that really talked about, number one, about heating and air conditioning, and people have millions of questions when I go out to their homes and talk to them about when they're having heating and air questions or when they're having problems with their units. And so I thought, number one, I thought that was good for my business, but I also felt like that, a lot of times you don't know who you should call. You don't know who's the professional roofer I should use, or plumber, or whatever. And so we're going to bring people in on this show and have guests come in, and we'll talk about what they do and how they do it, and how you can do some home improvement stuff yourself or call them for their help. And so we think we have a lot of different things from, and we also have, PSO and CenterPoint Energy we hope to have on the show so that they can talk about the rebates that are out there, and we'll talk about them as well. But really to try to give people, we always know throughout the year we all have things happen to our home. And most of the time we go, uh-oh, who do we call? Who's the guy? What's his name? And I have people call me all the time in my office, Jay, who do you use for XYZ? And a lot of times I say, I use so-and-so. But I try to use people that I know do good work and also are very reputable in our community. And so Sometimes I know I've heard people say, "Oh, you referred someone, and does that scare you?" Well, it's always concerning, but not really when I've done it with people that I've worked with for the last 20 years. I know a lot of really great companies, and we'll bring those on and talk with them and hopefully give our listeners some good advice about things that they have going on inside their home.
Well, referral business is so important. In fact, you can take, like for a woman, for example, my wife, if she likes someone that does her hair, she'll immediately ask. She won't go to the yellow pages, well, who does hair?
Right.
She likes this work, and she's going to say, who does your hair? And they get asked, that a million times. And they freely say, oh, such and such does my hair. So that's a great referral. That's a trust factor. So when they're coming to you asking, they've already seen that you're trustworthy in that. And I really take referrals personally like that because friends will ask me, and I don't feel intimidated by asking them. I say, hey, I've used this. This is really good. So this will be good for you. Great opportunity. So let's talk about what you are offering as a business, because I'm a product of watching TV and I see your commercials and you're talking about rebates and you're talking about the state and is offering rebates. So why don't we talk a little bit about some of the rebates that you guys are offering right now?
Well, right now PSO and CenterPoint Energy have rebates out there that we've just never had before, and we've had them for the last few years, but they change in the way they do them and the amount of money that's available. But this year, if you combine the PSO rebates and the CenterPoint rebates, you can get up to $7,000. Yep. $7,000 in rebates.
Now, how does that come now? When you say that, I mean, how is it?
Well, the PSO rebates come instantly off your invoice. So if you bought a $10,000 system, you get $5,000. If you qualify for that, you only pay $5,000. That PSO picks up the other $5,000. It takes it right off. You don't have to worry about waiting on. People usually it's fill out this form and wait 12 weeks, and it's not that way. CenterPoint's a little different. We do have to fill out some forms, and they do mail you a check in the mail, but at the same time, we fill all the forms out and we take care of all that for you. So it's nothing that the homeowner has to do other than qualify for them, and we can tell them whether or not they qualify. But these rebates, it's just, Eric, it's made people be able to make their homes more energy efficient, to be able to upgrade a lot of stuff where it's insulation or their ductwork or what their whole system. They give them money for all of that, and so there's been not a better time to upgrade a used, older system. Anything that's 10 years and older, for sure. If your unit has quit, and it doesn't have to be that your unit's out. It has to be that maybe you need to upgrade to a more energy-efficient system. But the rebates really came into effect because the state wanted to save money on utility rebates statewide. And PSO came up with a program called Power Forward. And we are very happy to be the PSO Power Forward program Partner of the Year for 2014 and 2015. So we just got awarded that again. And we did more jobs in Southwest Oklahoma than anybody this last year. So we're excited. We know every customer that I talk to about it. I've never had a customer say to me, I don't want their money. They always want their money. And so, you can take off $3,000 or $4,000 or up to $5,000 off that invoice. That's a lot of money for a lot of people.
Let me talk about efficiency for a little bit, because you brought that up, and I was thinking about there are people with newer homes, because they have efficiency with that heat and air, that their bills are lower, and they may have a bigger house to cool than an older house that's got an older unit, and they're paying $400 a month, and the other, and they'll compare how much you paying for utilities. You got that nice new house, and you must be just going crazy with utilities. They said, no, I'm paying this amount, and you're going, you're kidding me. That's almost what I'm paying now for my older home that's smaller. So talk a little bit about the benefits of that.
Well, it's huge, because most people don't realize how important insulation is, how important ductwork is, how much their duct leaks. We have equipment now that can we inflate your ductwork and test to see how much your ductwork is leaking. Most houses
and
are
tell
leaking.
Why that's important.
Well, it's important because it's going up in the attic.
In the attic, that's
yeah,
exactly right.
Or in a wall somewhere, and you're
not getting it.
It's not going in the house, but you're paying for it. And so we've been able to cut people's utility bills, some of them anywhere between at least 25%, all the way up. We've seen people cut them 60%. So we've had some very small houses. We had a couple of houses that we did the other day, about 1,000 square foot house for a guy that his electric bill was $300 and something a month. And it was because 85% of his heating and air was going in his attic. Wow. And his ductwork, if you looked at it, if you from the naked eye looked at it and thought, oh, it's can't
in good
be
shape.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, he was leaking through walls and around grills and other stuff. And so when we sealed it, we have to get it less than 10% of that leakage, of the total house leakage. it's just amazing. And so what it means is you're going to seal it down with a glue, and a lot of times we replace it. But the good thing is PSO gives you the money to do it. And so what a better time if you're going to thinking about changing your system, what a better time to make sure that the heating and air, and not only do you save on energy on it, but you also don't have to worry about breathing that attic dust and that insulation that's going into your home constantly. People think all the time, oh my gosh, my allergies are so bad when my unit comes on. Well, it's because we're taking the attic dust and we're taking the insulation and all that different dust from the attic, and we're blowing it and sending it through the house every time we turn it on because we're leaking so bad. So we've learned through some new technology and through duct blaster tests and things like that we do now, we can tell you exactly how much you're leaking, and we can show you once we seal it how much you're not leaking and how much you will save in utilities. And it's not just a guesstimate. It's not Jay Burk coming out saying, hey, Eric, you're going to save $500. No, PSO is going to give you a report that shows you the befores of what you had before. And then after I finish doing the work, they're going to show you what comes after. What is my utility bill going to be when Jay finishes these rebates and finishes these things that he has to have done? And there's a few things we have to do, but they're not asking you to do the most efficient unit in the world. So it's not like you have to buy a $50,000 system to get these rebates. That's one of the questions people ask me all the time. Oh, I'm sure it has to be a really high efficiency, so high efficient I can't afford it. And that is absolutely not the case.
Do you think that for the most part, it's a kind of, and I think maybe this is why the show is helpful, an education part, that most people, they'll get a bill and they'll just pay it. And they just say, boy, my utilities just keep going up and up. And they don't really look for an answer because they didn't think there was an answer available.
Absolutely. And a lot of times people don't realize as systems get older, the less capacity they have. Let's say you put a 3-ton unit in your house and your unit is 15 years old. That unit may only be putting out 2 tons of air conditioning, even though it was designed originally at 3 tons. They wear out. They're just kind of like us. We get a old and don't run quite as fast.
I'm experiencing that. Yeah.
But honestly, it's truly, it needs to be checked. It needs to have a professional out that and that's what we do. We come out, we check, and we see. If you don't qualify, PSO is not going to let you have their money. I mean, that's just the way it works. They're not going to give you money to not, if your house is already tight and right, it is not going to matter. They're going to tell you, I'm sorry, but you don't qualify. And we're going to be able to tell you that when we come out and give you our assessment. But if you do qualify, why not take the money? And CenterPoint has done the same thing. If you upgrade to a specific furnace, and you get to the efficiency level that you need to be, and it's usually it's the basic furnace that we're selling all the time anyway, they give you a cash incentive, at least $400, all the way up to if you do something and change maybe and get a gas furnace and you haven't had one before, they will bring the gas to your house and give you $2,000 to do that. So it's just a no-brainer.
You took the words right out of my mouth. They say it's a no-brainer. I mean, what are we waiting for? This is a good time. Plug what's phone number for J&J Burk?
It's 354-0330 or 1-800-AIR-REPAIR.
Air Repair. I can remember that. Okay, with that, we've also got a special number, and if you'd like to ask Jay a question, a great opportunity for you to call 581-3605. Locally, of course, 580 is our area code if you're calling from the surrounding areas, because our K-Law reach goes quite out there. So 580-581-3605, a designated line that will just say, what is your question? And then you just state what your question is, and we may use that on the air. It's helpful to get that information out. Also, you can go to jburk@townsquaremedia.com and email us with a request. So I said, well, I'm a little intimidated. I don't want to call on the phone and ask a question, but I do have a question. But we're really not the phone type, so we'll take your emails as well, and then you'll also go in for a special drawing. And I didn't mention it, but what is week one's debut giveaway prize? I was excited to announce that, but go ahead.
Well, we call our maintenance agreement, we call it Comfort Club. And we believe because if you take care of your system, you're going to always have continued comfort. And so we're giving away a Comfort Club that's valued at $175. It's a full year. We'll come out twice that year, service your system, completely clean it, make sure everything is up and running and right for you. And we're going to give that away free here on this first show.
Very good. What is that service, really? I know so you check things out. So what do you do? They roll up in the driveway, and what are they looking for, and what do they do?
Well, we're looking at everything. We look at all the controls, and we go from the thermostat all the way to the heater, to the air conditioner, to every piece of equipment that you have on your home. We also look at your ductwork, your insulation levels inside your home. So we're looking for things that, could possibly cause you a problem down the road or could cause your system to quit. So our goal is to get it up and running at its best, ability. And some of them are pretty old that we go to. We still have some old ones out there, but honestly, it's kind of like getting a new car and never changing the oil. I tell people that all the time. A lot of times we don't do a good job of maintaining our heating and air systems, and they have to be. They've got motors and they've got compressors and things that we have to make sure it's clean and operational. Filters, people, a lot of times they'll forget.
Worst at that.
Yeah.
Once a month and you forget, and then, it's like I tell people that when the air conditioner is little suffering, it's like trying to breathe through a wet sock. I mean, it's just because it's clogged up. A simple exchange out of the filter, but, we don't remember that. It's like the time change is good to be able to remember our batteries on our smoke detectors. But, you mentioned it, and you and I are on the same wavelength talking about the maintenance of your car. We're so emphatic about every 3,000 miles, going to change that oil. We're going to do this because that car is important. But, our heat and air is pretty important, too. And I'll tell you what, in a 100-degree July day, and I don't have air conditioning, and I'm calling late Friday saying, Jay, come help me. Wait, you're on a list, So proper maintenance is so critical. But, you hear it, but you don't really feel it until it really comes up and hits you.
And we have hundreds of Comfort Club customers that we take care of on a biannually basis. And I want to be honest with you, the people that have it done, they love it because they don't have to worry. And, and you get discounts and there's other things that go along with our programs, and we can send anybody that has any questions, we can email them what our Comfort Club's about. But, you don't have to wait. You get guaranteed same-day service. You get all these things so if you call on 4th of July and you say, I'm a Comfort Club member with J&J Burk, we're coming today. We're not going to wait until tomorrow.
Wow.
It'll be today. And so that's my guarantee. And so what we want to do is make sure that customers know that, we want to be, you're part of our family once you join up with us, and we're going to take care of you. And it doesn't matter if 4th of July or Christmas Day, we're going to be there.
I know it's a slogan that you guys have used, but 8 to 8, same great rate. That's a good convenience because, most people, pack up and go home at 5, and then you're calling, oh, my thing just went down at 6:30, and and you still have people available that are still up and running at that time.
Yeah, and if somebody calls it and they know it's 10 o'clock in the morning, but they can't get off work, and hey, you know what, I'd like to schedule my repair at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, we'll schedule you for those times, and somebody will be there at your home.
All right. Hey, we're going to take your phone calls next, so make sure you get them into us, 580-581-3605, designated line. We may use your phone call on the air. Or, of course, jburk at townsquaremedia.com. You can email us as well. We want you to be a part of the show, and, very informative. We just relaxed, talked about what the show and what you have to offer, and we'll be back right after this as you're listening to the J&J Burk Home Improvement Show on KLAW 101. We're back with the J&J Burk Home Improvement Show. My name is Eric Sherem, along with Jay Burk, our host, in a weekly show to kind of inform you not only about everything maintenance for heat and air, but maybe some home improvement tips and ideas. We'll get to those. But then also an opportunity for you to call in at 581-3605 or even at jburk at townsquaremedia.com to email those questions to us. And then, by the way, your name will go in for a drawing, and every week Jay is going to give away something. And this week's giveaway is
a Comfort Club agreement, which is our maintenance agreement for an entire year, estimated $175 value, will be absolutely given away for a full year.
Wow. Okay, first question is this, via the phone. Here's the question about assessments. Okay, how much is it going to cost me for you to come out and assess mine? There's a service call. Is going to be $150 just for me to get this assessment? How much is it?
The assessments are absolutely free.
What?
Yeah, free.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the catch? Where's the fine line?
There's none.
Really? Okay.
We actually will come out and assess your home and be able to do the duct blaster test and the blower door test to test how much your house is leaking. We do all that as part of a free assessment.
Okay, so I'm going to do a follow-up to that person's call about assessments. Okay, now here's the other catch. I'm always looking for a fine line. Okay, what about weekends? Maybe an assessment on Saturday, Sunday. Oh, no, it's only a Monday through Friday assessment, or after 5 because my wife and I work and we're rushing home and we can't get there till like 5:30 or 6.
You tell me what's best for you, and I'll be there to make sure it happens.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't care if it's weekends, after 5, we will make it happen.
Not 2 a.m., though.
Well, that's a little rough. I don't look so good at 2 a.m.
No,
it's bad enough at 5. So,
but it's good to know that, I think even some banks have used that to their advantage, too, that they realize we're in a society that's not a 9 to 5 anymore. I mean, and, you got kids activities, and I'm running here, running there, and I got to go meet somebody, or I got to stay there and wait for them during the midday, and hopefully they'll show up in a 3-hour time frame, So that is leaps and bounds as a great tool, especially for you to be able to cater to those needs.
Well, it used to aggravate me because I always seemed to be the cable company. Wait on the cable guy.
Not trying to pick on them, but that was
but you know what I mean.
Joke.
I mean, that was the joke. I mean, you're going to wait. Are you going to wait all day? And now we can tell you what time we're going to be there. And you call in. We'll set you up an assessment time, and I come out myself, so I'm out on those assessments, and I'll be able to help figure out what we can do to help get you some rebates, and if you qualify for them, and if you don't, we'll tell you that too. And there's still absolutely no cost.
Now, another thing is to you're heat and air, and we're going to call you out there, but there is some other stuff with that aspect that I was kind of wondering, do you kind of contract that out, or do you do it do you blow an insulation? Insulation is a part of the attic work, and you think, who am I going to call to blow an insulation to make sure that this works with my heat and air units?
Absolutely. That's part of PSO's program as well. They'll help you to insulate your attic. And we blow insulation as well as part of what we do. So if you'd asked me 10 years ago, you're going to be an insulation guy, I would have said, no, Eric, we don't do insulation. But that has become part of home improvement. It's become part of making your house more energy efficient. And so in the last 4 or 5 years, we've started blowing insulation. And I'll be honest with you, almost every house we go to needs insulation. The criteria basically is if you have less than 6 or 7 inches, PSO will help you pay for it, because you need to have 14 inches of insulation from the sheetrock up in your attic, 14 inches, which makes you have R38 insulation. But it can reduce your utility bill 30%. The insulation alone, even if you didn't change your unit.
Wow.
Even if you didn't change your ductwork. I mean, still 30% savings in utilities because of the right amount of insulation. It's just amazing.
Well, the thing is, it's stuff that we don't really think about, and we talked about the ductwork before, about having a leak in it. The insulation, it's still going up in the attic. It's still leaving you. It's not being stuck there. So with that, I mean, there is so much to just think about, just in terms of just having you assess all that. And why don't you give me a testimony? And I know you'll have one. I didn't even ask you this. Putting you on the spot, so
Thanks
to speak.
a lot. Yeah.
No problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're good off the cuff. Okay. Have you had testimonies of people that had their old system, got the new system, and then they come back and tell you, okay, my bill was this, and now it's that?
Absolutely. We've had
give me some illustrations.
Well, we've had some people that said, I was spending $1,800 a year on my electric bill, and now they've dropped my electric bill to $900.
Wow.
And that's a whole year. And
wow.
I mean, it's been amazing. We've seen some people that said. And, not only just the energy savings, they save a lot of money in utilities, and PSO gives you a home assessment themselves when they give you the report they do. But I promise you, it's the quality of air you're breathing inside your home that'll make the difference. Every person I talk to, how many of us have gone into a house, and the first thing somebody tells me is, in that room it gets too hot, in that room it's too cold, in that room I don't get any air, in that room I get too much air. I mean, we've seen, that's usually what I hear everywhere I go.
And the solution is, if it's too cold, they put a little space heater in there.
They do.
Like that's the solution instead of the overall system.
Or let's shut the door, or turn the grill down. We've all done it.
I understand.
I mean, back in the day, we'd say, well, you just got more air in that room, and you're lucky. And but honestly, what we've really figured out is, and over the years of our industry has really changed, but if it's installed properly and it's sealed properly, we can guarantee the airflow in each and every room, and we measure it. So we know that if this room is a small room, it should only have this much air and heat in it, then we're going to actually make sure that airflow comes into that room to take care of that. So, but truthfully, that's what we make sure that's done when we do the PSO program. It's made a huge difference. People say, I finally, for the first time, don't have to open and close vents. I don't hear whistling through my vents. My heater was so noisy I couldn't hear anything. I turned the TV up. I thought it was my wife was going deaf. I mean, I have heard it all. And but truthfully, it's the install, and it's how it's installed, and we believe, obviously we believe we're the best, but we want to make sure that it's right. And since the PSO program came out, we have not had callbacks about airflow issues and people saying this room is too hot or too cold, or 15-degree difference in this room compared to my living room, and it's made a huge difference. And so I think this is the last thing you should have to worry about is your heating and air system.
Yeah, it's the most important in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
because we go to extreme. It's either hot or cold, and there's not much in between where we let the windows open and let the door. I mean, we don't live in a part of the country that offers that.
No.
Other parts you can. I mean, you can live without it. Okay, and one final question. That a lot of times people automatically think you're going to have an assessment. You're automatically going to tell me it's a complete overhaul. That's not necessarily the case. There may be just a little bit of tweak here and there.
Absolutely. Sometimes it doesn't have to be much at all. It may be just that you need insulation. It may be just that, your system is an age that you're going to have to start deciding. And it doesn't mean you have to do it today. We're not going to, there's nobody there. We don't usually twist their arm too hard. So we really try to make people feel comfortable with it, that it's their decision to make, that there's money out there that's never been there before for people to use for rebates. And again, these rebates are for a limited time. Last year we ran out in August. We totally ran out of money for the program. And so from August all the way until January 15th, when we finally got more money funded to it from the state, we had people begging for the rebates because they were like, I don't have any insulation. My ductwork's leaking. And we still do the assessments and say, you need it, but now it's this much money. And most people were saying, that's, PSO would have gave me $3,000 for that. Well, yeah. And so a lot of people said, you know what, I'm going to wait for the PSO program to come back. And a lot of them did.
Yeah,
and we've been doing a whole bunch of those. But we don't want them to, we hope the money lasts all year.
Right.
But
you can't tell.
We don't know that.
Right. Well, thank you very much. That's already our show already, just
Wow.
like that. And we are looking forward to bringing you this each and every week at this time. J&J Burk Home Improvement Show. Remember that phone number to call us during the show. Only activated then, 580-581-3605. You can also call throughout the week. I mean, and we can use those calls too. So, I mean, if you didn't get to us this morning, we're going to have an opportunity to have that. And then even online as well at jburk@townsquaremedia.com. You can send those your emails or requests with questions as well. Enjoyed it, Jay. Very informative, and I know we're going to get a lot of great information from weeks to come.
Thank you, Eric. Great show. Good job.